Imagine walking into school on what feels like just another ordinary morning. The sound of chatter in the hallways, backpacks slamming into lockers, sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Nothing seems out of place until it all shatters. Within seconds, the echoes of laughter are replaced by screams, gunfire, and chaos. Students scatter, teachers barricade doors, and a small Midwestern city is thrust into one of the darkest chapters of its history. This isn't a movie. It isn't fiction. This is the story of the Minneapolis school shooting, a tragedy that left an entire community scarred forever. But behind the headlines, beyond the statistics, lies a tangled web of warning signs, missed opportunities, and haunting questions. Who was the boy behind the gun? How did so many red flags go unseen? And why do these massacres keep happening in America's classrooms? Tonight, we're peeling back the layers, not just of the shooting itself, but the disturbing reality behind it. Minneapolis, a city known for its lakes, its music scene, its cold winters, and its close-knit neighborhoods, would become the backdrop for a nightmare. Months before the massacre, a 16-year-old student, let's call him Ethan for this retelling, was quietly slipping through the cracks. To classmates, he was the loner. Not popular, not hated, just invisible. But online, his world was different. Dark forums, violent video clips, and angry late-night posts painted a chilling picture. He vented about feeling ignored, bullied, and betrayed. Some peers remembered his disturbing sketches in notebooks: guns, blood, figures lying on the floor. Others remembered eerie statements like, "One day, they'll remember me." But like so many warning signs before, it all seemed like teenage frustration. Nobody thought it would turn into reality. Nobody thought it would turn into reality. At home, things weren't much better. Family tensions, isolation, and untreated depression built up like a ticking time bomb. The people closest to him didn't realize just how deep the anger went. And then came the weapon. Reports later revealed that Ethan got his hands on a semi-automatic rifle, illegally, through a friend's older brother. A weapon designed for war, now in the hands of a troubled teenager. The stage was set, and nobody saw it coming. It was a clear November morning. Students arrived at school, joking about homework, upcoming basketball games, and weekend plans. Teachers prepared for another routine day. At 8:13 a.m., Ethan walked through the school's side entrance. Security cameras later showed him carrying a backpack. Inside, the rifle loaded with extra magazines. He moved calmly, almost mechanically, through the halls. At 8:15 a.m., the first shots rang out. The sound echoed down the corridors like thunder. At first, some thought it was a prank, firecrackers maybe, but the screaming told a different story. The first victim, a freshman who had once mocked him in class. A shot to the chest. Then another. Panic erupted instantly. Students sprinted down hallways, crashing into lockers, some dropping books, others diving into classrooms. Teachers reacted in seconds, pulling blinds, locking doors, herding terrified kids into corners. Some dialed 911 with trembling hands. The dispatcher's line that morning lit up like wildfire. "There's a shooter at the school. Please, send help, now!" Meanwhile, Ethan kept moving, methodical, focused. Down one hallway, through the library. He fired indiscriminately, reloading with a calmness that horrified investigators later. Survivors described the sounds, the deafening bangs, the screams, the desperate silence after each shot. By 8:22 a.m., police were already en route. Minneapolis SWAT mobilized, knowing every second meant more lives lost. Inside, the chaos was unimaginable. Some students hid under desks, texting parents final goodbyes. Others barricaded doors with chairs, praying they wouldn't be next. At 8:27 a.m., officers stormed the building. The smell of gunpowder hung heavy in the air. They followed the trail of shell casings and blood. Gunshots echoed from the gymnasium. That's where they found him. The standoff was brief but violent. Ethan turned the rifle toward the officers, but before he could fire again, they opened fire. In under 15 minutes, it was over. But the damage was irreversible. 9 students dead, 4 teachers wounded, dozens traumatized. The news spread like wildfire. Parents rushed to the school, some collapsing on the sidewalks in tears, screaming names into the crowd, praying their children would walk out alive. Others waited in agonizing silence until officials read out the list of victims. The city of Minneapolis plunged into grief. Candlelight vigils lit up the nights. Stuffed animals, flowers, and photos piled outside the school gates. News reporters swarmed the scene. America once again found itself asking the same question. Why here? Why now? Why again? Investigators dug deep into Ethan's life. His online activity revealed disturbing posts weeks before the attack, cryptic messages, violent fantasies, even admiration for previous school shooters. Teachers later admitted they had noticed troubling behavior but didn't know how to respond. His parents insisted they never saw this coming. It wasn't just a crime, it was a failure at multiple levels. The school system, unable to catch the warning signs. The legal system, which allowed easy access to deadly weapons. The mental health system, stretched too thin to intervene. One chilling detail haunted the investigation: the manifesto. In Ethan's bedroom, police found a handwritten notebook. Pages filled with anger, resentment, and one line scrawled across the cover: "This is my legacy. Remember me." The Minneapolis shooting wasn't the first, and tragically, it wouldn't be the last. From Columbine to Sandy Hook, from Parkland to Uvalde, each massacre followed a disturbingly familiar pattern. A troubled youth, missed warning signs, easy access to guns, a community shattered. For Minneapolis, the tragedy reignited fierce debates. Parents demanded stronger school security. Lawmakers clashed over gun reform. Mental health advocates begged for resources. Meanwhile, survivors, children who had watched their friends die, struggled with trauma that would never fully heal. The media storm painted Ethan as both monster and victim. But one truth became painfully clear: the system had failed. Again. Today, the halls of that Minneapolis school are quieter. Plaques with the names of the 9 victims hang on the walls. Every year, on the anniversary, the community gathers to remember. Candles flicker, bells toll, and silence fills the air. But for the survivors, there's no escape. Some can't walk into a school without panic attacks. Others wrestle with survivor's guilt. Parents still wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for children who will never come home. The Minneapolis Massacre isn't just a story about one boy with a gun. It's about the cracks in a society where children grow up feeling invisible, where warning signs are brushed aside, and where deadly weapons are too easy to obtain. The question remains: how many more vigils must we hold before something changes? This is the haunting legacy of the Minneapolis school shooting, a story of grief, anger, and unanswered questions. But also a warning. Because behind every headline, there's another Ethan waiting in the shadows. So I'll leave you with this. If the signs were there all along, how many more are we ignoring right now?